from?
Ricky Aron, and I'm from Liverpool in the United Kingdom.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you first got involved in music?
Yeah, well, I grew up listening to my mum and dad's record collection. They were big fans of country and western. My dad was a huge fan of Elvis. My mum was a fan of a guy who is most famous pop star in the UK, a guy called Cliff Richard, who had minor success here in England, in the US, and that's how I really got into it all, and I just knew from an early age that this is what I wanted to do.
Well, how did you become an Elvis fan?
It just happened. I think it just grabs you. You can't help but become an Elvis fan. I always say to the non-Elvis fans that I think I could make them into an Elvis fan, because they're only aware of a certain style of Elvis. They don't realise that he covered so many genres of music. So yeah, it just grabs you like nobody else does, really.
In the Elvis world, we hear the phrase Elvis tribute artist. Outside of this, people who don't look in, it's impersonator. What would you say the difference between the two would be? I know it's a tough one.
Honestly, I wouldn't say there is much of a difference. If people want to call me an impersonator, then if that's what they feel comfortable with, then do so. Or tribute artist. I prefer tribute artists. I think it sounds more classy. I think impersonator is a little bit tacky. But I don't think people mean it as an offensive word. It's just what they know. But I prefer Elvis tribute artist. It just sounds better. It rolls off the tongue. It's professional. So yeah, that's my interpretation of it, really.
Well, when you land gigs like someplace here like Elvis Week, where there's nothing but Elvis fans around you, how do you prepare for a show like that? Because these people are going to know the words to every song.
To be fair, I don't prepare. No, because Elvis didn't prepare. I think if you prepare too much, I think the act can become a little bit too staged rather than natural. Elvis was a natural. You've got to try and be a natural. So I only, if I'm doing a contest, I'll prepare then. But I prefer to get on stage and just be natural. Do it in an Elvis way, but also with my own stamp on it. Because let's be honest, nobody's ever going to come close to Elvis. No matter how good a tribute artist is, there's only one Elvis.
True. Well, now that you've performed at the tent for the first time, what was your impression of it?
Oh, I didn't want it to end. It was fantastic. The audience were so welcoming, and they made it easy for me. It's always a pleasure to be on stage when an audience makes it easy for you. It's the hardest thing in the world when it's a tough crowd. When they make it easy for you, then the confidence just surges. When they don't make it easy for you, you can feel the confidence draining bit by bit, and that's the worst feeling in the world. But that was fantastic. Loved it.
Well, when you're on that stage, what's your goal? Like, what do you want the audience to take from your show?
I just want them to enjoy themselves, because I like to be entertained myself. So if I got on stage and didn't entertain, I would be cheating myself. I'd be cheating the audience. So my goal is just to entertain the crowd, and if they're entertained, then that's the job done, really, for me.
Well, do you have a favorite era of Elvis music, and if so, which one and why?
Yes, I do. I love it all. I love it all. I especially love the gospel music. But for me, Elvis, 69, 70, that era, there was just something extra about him. I mean, the guy was so charismatic anyway, but it kind of took it up a level, and he was just... every time I see that's the way it is on TV, I'm just like this. No matter how many times I've seen it, I'm just like this. I can't take my eyes off him. So, anything from the 70s, but I do love it all. I do love it all. But I'd say early 70s is probably my favourite.
Can you tell me a little bit about what it was like the first time you went through the mansion across the street?
I cried like a baby. I remember it wasn't a very enjoyable experience for me. So it was 3 years ago when I came. And as soon as I saw the mansion, I just cried. And when I went into the grounds and we actually went into the house, I didn't say a word to anyone. I didn't even listen to the narration on the headphones. I just took it in my own stride. As soon as I entered the jungle room, I broke down in tears. And then when I saw the grave, I kind of became scared of it. I didn't want to go straight over to it. So I had to work my way slowly to it. And I remember I sat there on the step right opposite his grave, and I was there for 45 minutes and I sobbed like a baby. And the funny thing is, I was listening to my own headphones, and I was listening to Elvis, of course, but always on my mind had somehow turned itself on to repeat. So that song was playing over and over and over. So every time I sing that song now, it always takes me back to Graceland.
That's a really good story, man.
Yeah.